Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the language of big business. Today we are diving into a filing that shows a company trying to get a little more time, like trying to get an extension on your car payment, but for a whole company. So Direct Digital Holdings Inc. is back with a bit of news, and it's all about their debt. Now, as you know, managing debt is a big deal for any company, and how they handle it tells us a lot about their current financial health and their plans for the future. It's like if you needed more time to pay your mortgage, would you just hope for the best, or would you talk to the bank and try to work something out? Well, Direct Digital Holdings is talking to their bank. The company's Class A common stock trades on the Nasdaq Stock Market LLC under the ticker symbol DRCT. This is just to remind you that this is a publicly traded company, meaning its performance impacts real investors. They are listed with commission file number 001-41261. Sometimes these numbers can give you a hint about how long a company has been around or how they are structured, but mostly it's just an identifier in the vast sea of corporate paperwork. And here's the IRS employee identification number 8723061885. This is like their company's social security number, important but not something we usually need to focus on unless there's a tax issue being reported. Now let's get to the core of the filing. This is about an agreement they have with East West Bank, or EWB for short. Their main point here is an amendment, which is basically a change to a credit agreement. Think of a credit agreement as a loan contract. This is the Fifth Amendment, meaning they've modified this loan contract 4 times before. The important date here is July 17, 2025, which is when they signed this latest change, but it's effective a bit earlier, back on July 7, 2025. Why is this important? Well, why is this important? Well, it shows they are trying to manage their obligations proactively, and in this case, they needed more breathing room. What they've done here is extend the maturity date of their credit agreement. What does maturity date mean? It's simply the date when the loan is supposed to be fully paid back. Their original deadline was July 7, 2025, but they've now pushed it to July 31, 2025. But they've now pushed it to July 31, 2025. So they bought themselves about 3 more weeks. They've also extended the repayment deadline for all the money they owe, including the initial loan amount called principal, any extra charges called interest, and any fees. This aligns with the new maturity date, so the entire repayment schedule for this particular loan is now pushed back to the end of July. Now, getting an extension isn't free. For this privilege, Direct Digital Holdings and its related companies, who are also listed as borrowers, had to pay a $50,000 extension fee. This is a pretty standard charge when you ask for more time on a loan. It's the bank's compensation for the delay in getting their money back. On top of that fee, they also agreed to pay a higher interest rate. The extra interest is 5% per year, added to whatever the original interest rate was for the period between the original due date and the new due date. So from July 7th to July 31st, they are paying more in interest. This makes the extension more profitable for the bank and also signals that the company might be finding it a bit tight to meet the original terms. This section just lists the documents attached to this report. Think of it like a table of contents for the evidence. The crucial document here is Exhibit 10.1, which is the actual Fifth Amendment to the credit agreement. Everything we've discussed is detailed in that document. And finally, the report is signed by Diana P. Diaz, the Chief Financial Officer. This confirms that the company's top financial person has reviewed and approved this filing. Now, looking at this filing in the broader context of Direct Digital Holdings, this is essentially a short-term extension. It doesn't solve any fundamental problems if they exist, but it does give the company a bit more time to perhaps secure funding, improve its cash flow, or renegotiate terms more favorably. The fact that they've had to do this 5 times suggests that managing their debt might be an ongoing challenge. Every extension, especially with added fees and interest, adds to the company's overall cost of borrowing. It's not a sign of extreme financial distress just yet, but it does indicate they are operating with some financial pressure. We need to consider what this means for their business strategy. Are they expecting a large influx of cash in August, which will allow them to repay? Or are they trying to buy time to restructure their entire debt portfolio? Without more information from subsequent filings or company announcements, it's hard to say definitively. However, frequent extensions on loans are generally not a positive signal. It can make investors nervous about the company's ability to meet its obligations. From a Warren Buffett-like perspective, you want to invest in companies that have predictable earnings and manageable debt. This filing doesn't give us the full picture of their earnings, but it does highlight that their debt management is something to watch closely. Is this a temporary hiccup or a sign of a deeper issue? The next few months will be critical to see if they can repay this loan by the new July 31st deadline without needing further extensions, or if the increased interest payments start to significantly hurt their bottom line. So to sum it up, Direct Digital Holdings has secured a short extension on a loan from East West Bank, costing them a $50,000 fee and higher interest. This buys them a little time, but also adds to their expenses. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.